I'm Gabriela Craig. I am an art therapist and I also teach art. I grew up in Germany and came to Canada in '69. Art has been part of my life, all my life, where I used to just enjoy getting up early in the morning and going into the forest and drawing anything that I could see. I always wanted to pursue a career in art, and it took a long way around to eventually get to where I am, meaning that I originally trained to be a cartographer, which was very accurate drawing with a magnifying glass in my eyes. I then became an interior designer and worked as a designer for close to 30 years. And eventually I was confronted with another decision as to what I want to do for the rest of my life. And that's when I decided I always enjoyed working with children. Combining my interest in art and my artistic ability with working with children is really what made me then go and study to become an art therapist. I was introduced to the profession by my daughter, who first wanted to become an art therapist. We exchanged roles, if I can say, because she ended up becoming a graphic designer where I became the art therapist. Art therapy is comprised of two components. The first one is psychology, the second one is the art. But the art is used as a tool, meaning there is a verbal interaction and interchange, the same as it would be in a conventional therapy. But the art is used to express the emotional and the subconscious. Whereas in verbal therapy, you are able to control what you want to say and what you don't want to say. When you work in expressing yourself on a piece of paper, it comes from the subconscious, and therefore you are not as much in control as to what comes out. You then take a look at what has been drawn and you discuss it with the individual. In other words, the interpretation is not made by me alone. It first has to come from the person who drew the story or the subject matter. It is not only therapeutic, it comes from the soul. You don't have to know how to draw. In fact, the less you know how to draw, the better, because even the children know spontaneously how to express themselves by just drawing lines. No one is judging whether it is good or bad. There is no good or bad. So when you are looking at the piece from a therapeutic point of view, it is really coming out, expressing how you feel. And whether that is just in lines, in scribbles, in the kind of fabric you use, meaning whether you use paints or pencils, or it's all very meaningful and gives us an idea of where the individual is having difficulties. There definitely are challenges when you want to become an art therapist, and I think one thing that explains it the best is that you have to submit yourself to be in therapy before you even study to find out whether you are suitable. Secondly, I think what expresses it the best is when it's said, you have to eat the soup to know what it tastes like. You can't just describe it. And when you are going through the training, really soul searching, and perhaps I can say for myself, where I was a designer for 30 years, you are always looking for accomplishment, you're looking for an end result. And I think that applies to teachers as well, who think it's so easy to move into becoming therapeutic. And in therapy, you cannot look for immediate results. And at least the way I approach and my philosophy of art therapy is that it is client-centered, meaning the speed we go at is determined by the individual. So not by me, that I want to reach a certain goal in X number of hours. And that is the reason why it also is a more long-term treatment rather than short-term. It can be short-term too, meaning 10 to 12 weeks. It all depends on what.
And vice versa.
No, and I have to say that for myself, I make sure that there is a definite division between the two. Often because of the perception the public has of art therapy, there is art therapy and there is art as therapy, and it's not the same. So when I teach art, needless to say, I come to it with my therapeutic philosophy in the back of my mind, meaning that I like to encourage the individuals and the students as much as I can without judging and without ever saying, no, this is wrong or la-di-da. I still believe I can be a good teacher without criticizing or giving a mark. I don't give a mark. There is no mark. And of course, there is no right or wrong, because my favorite mantra is that there is no right or wrong, there is only a more or less satisfied. I have been a practicing art therapist for 15 years now. I would say the memory that is most outstanding is when I have seen, there are more than one, but when I have seen an individual who was not only a selective mute, but also was in therapy for years previous and would only express themselves by drawing lines and lines and lines, eventually moving to using different colors. But in the end, when I saw that individual open up and actually cover the whole page and draw a self-portrait that was so complete, including earrings and eyelashes and so on, it truly blew me away, and that was very, very satisfying to see how the individual I have a very favorite art teacher who is a friend. I would like to say she is a mentor. Why is she a mentor? She is very philosophical. Her name is Andrea Maguire. She has lived in Toronto for many years. She is now in Ireland, I believe. But her way of painting and her just really her philosophy and her paintings are very inspiring. No, I don't look at being successful in that way. Naturally, you are happy for every positive result you see, but I don't see it in terms of
To go about it.
No, I haven't doubted it. If anything, after I became an art therapist, I have to say that I wish I had come to it a lot sooner. But it took the time it took, and I think I was able to bring the experience that I've collected through the years, which made it possibly made me a better therapist. Yeah, I would only say I wish I